Hey, welcome to the Find the Best Car Price YouTube channel. I'm Steve, and today we will be reviewing the Volkswagen ID.4. Let's jump in. So as you know, at findthebestcarprice.com, we're always interested in bringing you the best deals on cars, and that EVs, electric vehicles, are no exception. And the Volkswagen ID.4 definitely represents one of the best at its price point, and certainly one of the best value EVs, especially if you're a road tripper, which we'll get onto. This video is more going to be looking around the car, taking you inside some of its features and benefits, and looking at why this is one of the most affordable and practical electric cars on the road. Let's jump in. So we'll start in the ID.4's cockpit. It is not luxury, but you do have a lot of space in here, or a lot of technology. This is a first edition, so this is one of the early ones that was produced in 2021. But a lot of these features in this car will hold true for the Volkswagen ID.4 Pro and the Pro S at different trims. So on a full charge, you are looking at an EPA estimated range of 250 miles. We're at a little over 50% here, so in the halfway point, that looks about right. And the cabin here, you can see, is quite minimalist by Volkswagen standards at least. There's not too many buttons in here. You have a nice 12-inch display here. That's one of the upgrades, one of the larger screens. There's also a 10-inch. And then you have your driver's cluster here, which moves up and down with the steering wheel. So you're never gonna have to worry about where the steering wheel is in relation to the driver's cluster. It will just move along with it. You have your drive modes on this little kind of stick here, which is reminiscent of the BMW i3, but still a very nice system. You know, it's quite intuitive once you get used to that being where the selector is, and then you're in neutral naturally now, and you can flip back, put it back towards you to reverse. Your parking brake or your parking mode is right here. And then you have your large infotainment in the center here. Roof, which we'll get onto in a little bit. I don't know if this works at the moment, actually. Yeah, it does. There you go. So you can see that wasn't working when I tried it before, but that gives you a nice customizable roof if you only want to open half or a little bit. That's more like a quarter, so let's say roughly half. Maybe we've got passengers in the back who would like a little bit of a darker cabin. You can do that half and half, so it's very nice, customizable. ID light here, which you know, some people think is a little bit of a gimmick. It's a bar across here which gives you indications as to charging status, which way you're turning. It'll put the direction in either direction. It's kind of across the front of the windscreen. So it's a nice thing if you want something that's a little more unique to this car, but certainly not essential by any means. So there's a decent amount of customization there, maybe not quite to Tesla's level through the screen, but there's enough to keep most people happy. So a few different trip stats there, just to nerd out on the efficiency and how far you've gone with how many kilowatt hours. So a nice complete dash, lots of options. You have your climate settings via these everything here is a haptic button, which is not necessarily the best system. It leaves itself a little bit open to misslipping and not getting quite as much responsiveness as you might like as, you know, a physical button, and you don't really gain a whole lot back. Maybe it's cheaper, I don't know, but it's not necessarily the most precise system in my experience over a few hundred miles in this car. Okay, onto your steering wheel. This is a white trim in this car, which is for the first edition specifically, I believe. There are other trims that you can get in kind of a brownie color, and different interior trims. You know, you might or might not like the white steering wheel, but I would imagine this will get dirty fairly quickly. Over a day or two with this car, it hasn't been a problem. You have your regular controls down here, defoggers, rear window heater, and a bunch of auto modes for the lights. Nothing spectacular there. Slight downside here, maybe. They've presumably a cost-cutting measure. You only have the two controls for the windows, and you have to toggle this on. So when you hit that button, which is again haptic, it's toggled to the rear. So that's going to wind down your rear windows. and that will only be used for that until you toggle this back, and then it will wind down your front window. So, you know, minimalist, but in practice, you need to think about it a little more than you would others. You know, in a regular scenario here, if you have two sets, you can feel your way around it and get to the right button. With these, especially with this being haptic, you don't necessarily have that kind of feel, and you'll have to look down. A bit of a halfway measure there, not sure, other than the cost cutting, that was the best choice. Same here, it would be a little gripe in driving, you know, when there's a lot going on, it would be a bit of a pain to adjust these. There's not necessarily granularity, there's a little bit of gesture swiping, so you can up the volume quite a lot if you start to swipe across, but it's not responsive. It doesn't feel quite as, you know, good as a physical button, and it doesn't really give you that much minimalism. You know, obviously, it's probably saves on costs a little bit, but all of this is haptic, and that just doesn't feel quite as satisfying or as exact precise control as a volume knob would do. You know, just something to bear in mind if you like to retain a close control over everything in the cabin. That may be something that isn't quite as appealing to you. Regular stalks, nothing much else going on there. The lights are very good, very bright, good at night, and a lot of adaptive settings, and you're high enough up to see most of the road. You do have really nice blind spot monitors in the inside here, and just below you'll see a big orange light come up. It's much more intuitive than just seeing a tiny kind of light out of the corner of your eye. You definitely know something is there. Same on this side. And yeah, let's move on to the cabin as a whole. Okay, so I'm 6'2". I have a ton of space down here, very easy to stretch out. These seats are very plush, well suited to a long distance road trip kind of cruising. This has the little features of the pause and play button on the accelerator and the brake, which is a nice little thing, but I think that's only on the first edition. You have your central vents here. Everything here is either a little softer plastic. This is kind of hard, so some of it's soft. This is a little bit forgiving. You certainly could rest your arm on this kind of thing. See, again, I just kind of knocked that button there. That happens more than you would like it to. Not luxury by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly, you know, comfortable enough. You do feel like in some areas maybe they've cut costs with some of the materials, but in general, it's a nice, comfortable place to be. You have your dual zone climate control, so you can set people's different standards here. You have your heated steering wheel, you know, full heated seats are really good, I have to say. Very, very warm. Spreads the warmth really wide, and much more effective than in our Boll TV. Same for this seat over here. You have your AC as well. Glove box, pretty standard, nothing special there. Lots of legroom for your passenger. Good sized storage bins, no cubbies in this door, but it's good for opening and closing, very solid. Do a little test of the doors. Very solid. Moving down here, you have your wireless charging. Again, with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, that's a really nice touch. Just stow your phone away, don't have to think about it again until you arrive. 2 USB-Cs up front, same in the back. You have kind of an interesting little situation down here with your changeable cup holders. You can move this around. These two both come out, so you can make it one single cup holder or flip it around, so you've got some customizable storage. So that's pretty nice, or you can stow it all away and not think about it again until you arrive at your destination. All pretty good. The armrests, yeah, I mean, it feels it's not bad, not much to write home about there. The seats, you know, are a grade above what the kind of armrest and some of the other features in the cabin offer you. So, you know, just kind of depends on your priorities in cabin there. But there you go. And yeah, that is pretty much the front cabin of the ID.4. It's nice, spacious. You don't necessarily, as the driver or the passenger, get a huge use out of the panoramic roof, but maybe the passenger could recline and get a bit of a better view out of this. It is nice to have it. And then obviously up here, there's the very simple swipe, nice little action. That is one of the things that is nice to have as haptic, and that will come all the way back or all the way forward to give you the protection from the sun, or a little more kind of enclosed at night, or if you're on a bright sunny day and you want it to be as airy and open as you can, or want to see the stars, you can roll that back. Really like that. Some people don't like the glass roof in general. You can get versions without it, but if you want it, you do have this cover, which is nice. Moving into the back, again, a nice thunk on the door. Seat up front is adjusted for me with space to breathe and stretch out whilst I did that review. You can see pretty good. You know, I'm 6'2". There is a decent amount of space between me and the front here. There's a little cubby here for your books, maps, whatever, phone perhaps. Same setup as the front, nothing here for storage, but you do have a decent sized bin. Maybe it's half the size of the front there. Deal with the door, it's hard plastics here compared to slightly softer as you go further forward there. Lots of headroom. I'm again 6'2", and I've got a full fist of extra room there, and really nice. You know, I would appreciate that if I was in the back here. Certainly have that in other cars that we've driven in as passengers in the rear, and it's very nice. The rear seats are the same kind of perforated fabric. Nice, very well padded, comfortable. You have rear cup holders in the front to back, and an armrest which is a decent size. You have the pass-through here, which will give you space for skis if that's your bag, or a big piece of lumber, long packages from IKEA, that kind of stuff, or access to the trunk in a pinch. So that's a nice, useful feature that Europeans always seem to include. For the most part, this is a really spacious cabin, no problems. You have little holders here, which would, I like this touch actually. That's a nice little thought for the rear passengers. Screen in front of you there, little makeshift DIY display. Same in this passenger rear seat. And then your 2 USB-Cs, rear vents, and a little space for storage right there. Nothing spectacular, but certainly a very comfortable place to be on a long trip. And even for your passengers, that's good. You do have lights up here, hooks for hanging garments. And yeah, big spacious cabin, lots of room, even with everybody kind of extended out and people in the back. Probably a good spacious place for 5 people. Maybe adults will be a bit squeezed if there's 3 the size of me, but a lot of room back here. Very nice thing to road trip in. So coming around to the rear, you know, it's quite a distinctive look there. You've got the light bar. It doesn't scream EV, but it does have a nice futuristic touch. You've got your tow hitch down there, if you want to add that as an option. And then your kick. So lots of space in the trunk here. You can see the pass-through right there, which we looked at before. Got your big divider right here. A little bit of extra space down below, place for cables, all your charging cables down there, no frunk, so that's something you might miss. Separate spaces here with these tie downs and latches, and this will come out to give you more of a true deep trunk. But all very good, very practical, very spacious. It is, you know, it's a big SUV. It's a people mover. It's a family vehicle. So in corners, when you're on slightly more sprightly roads where you could have some spirited driving, this is not necessarily the vehicle that is going to be the most fun. It's, you know, there's a little bit of body roll in that. Feels planted. It's very solid and, you know, easy to maneuver, but it's a floaty SUV. You know, you feel that size, you feel the soft suspension, which is great in you know, city driving. Gives you a nice quality of ride. Certainly really nice on the interstate. But in terms of you know, throwing it into corners and doing mountain roads, this is not necessarily going to be the car for that. But again, that's not what it's made for. That's not what Volkswagen were going for here. They are trying to make this EV something you can cross-shop to a Honda CR-V, a Toyota RAV4, you know, which aren't designed for that. They're designed to move the kids and all their equipment across town, go on a road trip and be very comfortable. And it achieves that in spades. Absolutely no qualms about recommending this for those kind of use cases and people who really just don't care about the speed away from the line. It's a really nice daily driver, really nice people mover, and a very comfortable place to road trip. So do we recommend the Volkswagen ID.4? The answer is certainly. The only caveat is if you're an electric vehicle driver already, if you're coming from a model which has more oomph, gives you a little bit more of that immediate torque, gives you the one-pedal driving, true one-pedal driving, or more regenerative brake modes. This could be a little jarring for you. It might be a step back, but that's what Volkswagen intended. This car is not for the true EV enthusiast. It is for the regular buyer who wants to move their family from A to B, go somewhere in comfort on a long road trip, have a nice cabin with plush, you know, good features that give you all the kind of comfort you need. This does have massaging seats, I didn't mention, and it accomplishes that. You know, on a road trip of 250 miles there and then the next day back, very comfortable, did everything we needed. It does everything that it needs to do well. It isn't the fastest, it's not the quickest off the line, it doesn't have the most technology features, but it has all of the things that you need to make a very enjoyable road tripper that happens to be an electric car. And at the price point, and with the free charging on Electrify America for 3 years, and with the different levels, so if you want all-wheel drive, you can have that, pay a little bit more. If you want a little bit extra speed, that will give you that. I think it's a great value. You know, probably, as most people are saying, one of the best value EVs on the market today. Not everything is perfect. The buttons could use some work. Some of the materials aren't, you know, as nice as you might expect from something like a German manufacturer. But on the whole, really nice place to be. Great road tripper. Thumbs up to Volkswagen for their first entrant into the US market as a ground-up EV. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the Volkswagen ID.4 for Find the Best Car Price YouTube channel. Go to findthebestcarprice.com for more information on electric vehicles, the Volkswagen ID.4, and other affordable electric cars. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, liked, and all the stuff that YouTube likes, and we'll see you in the next electric car review.